Hey, what's up? So if you're thinking about buying a condo or a house in Toronto or anywhere else in the province of Ontario, unfortunately, the government wants more of your money and you're going to have to pay land transfer taxes. In this video, I'm going to talk about the amount of land transfer taxes you pay, how they calculate it, the differences between buying a property in Toronto versus anywhere else in the province, and also if you qualify for any rebates being a first-time buyer. Let's get into it. So in the first part of this video, I'm just going to show you the land transfer tax calculator. You can enter any sales price or purchase price in the calculator, and then it will calculate the land transfer tax for you. There's two options basically, which I'm going to explain through to you. One is if you're buying a property in Toronto, and the second one if you're not buying in Toronto but still in the province of Ontario. And in the second part of this video, I'm going to talk about how they break down and calculate the amounts of all those taxes to calculate the overall amounts. Okay, so now we're going to get into some more details in terms of the land transfer tax calculator, how they calculate the different amounts with the different sliding scale levels, how much you can get back as a rebate if you're a first-time buyer, and whether you're buying in Toronto or outside of Toronto but still in Ontario. So if you're looking for a condo, you can visit my site at alexmoloney.com and just go to Buy In Land Transfer Tax Calculator. If you're looking for a house, you can visit alexmoloneyhomes.com, and again, it's under the same section, Buy In Land Transfer Tax Calculator. So the first step that we need to do is enter your purchase price, or somewhere around the purchase price that you expect to be buying at. So I'm going to give you a few examples here, and the first one's going to be, say, a first-time buyer, buying a first property in Toronto, say a small condo. So let's put a purchase price of $500,000. Next thing you need to do, hit the go button, and it's going to automatically calculate the total land transfer tax payable. So you'll notice here you have the provincial tax, which is the province-wide tax that everybody pays in the province, and we have the municipal tax, which is the Toronto city tax basically. So once you enter your purchase price and you hit the go button, obviously you can select your different provinces here. I'm in Toronto, Ontario. And if you're in Toronto, or your place that you're going to be buying is in Toronto, you'd have to select the city here. So this will be the tax, just under $13,000 if you're buying in Toronto. So let's say at $500,000 if you're buying, let's say, I don't know, in Oakville as an example. And once you select a different city or town in Ontario, you see the amount has now changed to $6,475, and there is no municipal tax on this amount. Now, the other step, if you're a first-time buyer, the other thing you need to do is make sure you check this box right here. And you'll notice for the provincial tax, you can get a rebate of up to $4,000. So if you're buying outside of Toronto at $500,000, your total tax payable would be $2,475. You would basically still pay the full amount on the closing of your property, but your lawyer will file an application for that rebate of $4,000, which you should get back within 2 to 3 months, hopefully, of the actual closing date. So that is one example. Let's do another one. So let's say you're buying at $1 million. You're going to hit the go option here. And again, if you're buying outside of Toronto, your tax would be $16,475. If you're a first-time buyer, again, just hit this button. And again, it'll take that $4,000 off for the provincial rebate. And that will knock your tax down to $12,475. So let's go back to Toronto, just so you can see the difference here. And you can see the amount has doubled from that original $16,000 being a non-first-time buyer. So it's $32,950. Again, if you're a first-time buyer, check this button and watch these amounts here change. It drops down to $24,475, and the maximum rebate that you should get as a first-time buyer buying in Toronto is going to be $8,475. I'm going to go into this in a little bit more detail in a minute, but this gives you an idea in terms of how to use the tax calculator and get very quick approximations in terms of the amount of tax that you would be paying. If you're buying a $3 million home, let's say, hit the go button. And if you're buying again in Toronto, The total amount of tax payable will be $122,950 if you're not a first-time buyer. If this is a $3 million home, again, let's pretend we're going to be buying in Oakville. So as you'll see here, you've just got the provincial tax that is payable if you're not buying in the city of Toronto. And again, if you're a first-time buyer, just to reiterate one more time, just check this button and it will show you the rebate amount and it will adjust it automatically for you. So check out the land transfer tax calculator, play around with different price points to see the difference in terms of what it makes for you in terms of a buyer, whatever your price range is. To get into some more detail now in terms of how they break down the different levels and amounts, I'm just going to go to the government website here. Now, I know they did make some changes to the rates back in January 2017, but this will explain to you the different amounts of how they come to those tax valuations. So for the first $55,000 of your purchase price, you pay 0.5% goes to the tax. From $55,000 to $250,000, it's calculated at 1%. From $250,000 to $400,000, they calculate that at 1.5%. Anything above $400,000 is calculated at 2%. And then there's a big gap. So anything above $2 million, they will calculate that at 2.5% above that $2 million range. They'll add up all those numbers and that will be the tax for that provincial or city tax. Again, if you're outside of Toronto, you just pay this provincial tax. If you're buying in the city of Toronto, you will pay double land transfer tax with this Toronto city tax on top of the provincial. So I hope that explains the different rates and how they calculate the amounts. So to get into some more details in terms about the actual rebates for first-time buyers, if you're not a first-time buyer, you can skip this amount. But to get the rebates, there's certain qualifications that you have to meet to be able to A, apply, and B, also to actually get the money. So the first thing that you need to be is a Canadian citizen or permanent resident of Canada. You have to be 18 years old or older, and you must live in the home within 9 months of purchasing it. So if you're an investor and you're just going to be buying a property to rent it out, you won't be able to qualify for the full rebate amount. You'll be able to get a portion of it back, so check with your lawyer. The other criteria that you have to meet is that you haven't owned a home before, and if you have a spouse, they cannot have owned a home during the time that they have been your spouse. Now, if you do have a spouse that has owned a property previously, but you haven't, you can still apply and you should be able to get 50% of the rebate. Your lawyer will process this rebate application during your closing. They'll do that electronically, so you should be able to do that directly through your lawyer. They may charge a small fee to do that as well. Lawyers always do. But that should definitely save you the hassle of doing it yourself. It's definitely worth it. So the Toronto Land Transfer Tax rebate, the maximum amount that you're able to qualify for and receive back is up to $4,475 as long as you meet the criteria above that we just discussed. And it doesn't really matter if you're buying a house, townhouse, house, as long as it's residential that you're going to be living in it. So the full amount of the $4,475 basically covers you up to a purchase price of $400,000. For anything above $400,000, which in Toronto is going to be very likely you're going to be spending above that amount, you'll still qualify for the rebate, but you will be responsible for the balance of the land transfer tax above that, as I showed you in the example of $500,000. I think there was a $2,000 just over that for the example I gave you. Now for the Ontario land transfer tax, same thing, except that the full amount, the maximum amount only goes up to $4,000. Again, this doesn't matter if you buy a house or a condo. Now, this will cover you up to a purchase price of $368,333. So anything above this purchase price, you're going to be responsible for paying the balance for that portion of the land transfer tax. So I hope this video was useful in explaining to you how land transfer taxes work in Toronto, outside of Toronto, but in Ontario, and also if you're a first-time buyer and how you can qualify for first-time buyer rebates. If you have any questions, please hit me in the comments below. Do me a favor and smash the like button and subscribe to this channel. If you have any ideas in terms of other videos you'd like me to do or questions that you may have, just shoot me a message directly or hit me in the comments below again, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.